When you look at this trade truce, can we be back to trade tensions in like 2 days after a presidential tweet, or does it feel like, you know, we're making a step forward?
I don't think we're going to be there in 2 days. It wouldn't surprise me if we're back there in 2 months. As everyone knows, there are no details around this, and I think importantly over the weekend, some of the congressional leadership was criticizing the president's concession on HUAWEI, so who knows whether or not that component of it, which is I guess the new news and the good news, is actually going to stick. So I think what you're seeing in markets is a bit of an overly optimistic extrapolation of a trade deal, not just a truce.
Okay, Miranda, what's at stake here is very clear for both countries, but do China really want a deal almost at any cost?
Well, no, and this is the thing, it's not just about trade, and it's almost like we had to reset the negotiations, because it's not just about sort of, whether it's on the imports or whether it's opening of markets. What destroyed the trade deal was going to the really heart of the state-directed capital ownership in China, and then the U.S. tech dominance. And so it's almost like you have to have a reset, re-gear the negotiations and actually address the wider issues in the relationship rather than just sort of concentrating on the trade. And if that happens, then that will take a long time to happen.
Miranda, the news flow is extraordinary. We just saw the images from Hong Kong. We're all trying to catch up with an historic handshake within North Korea over the weekend, and we forget Osaka. How big a cave was it for the President of the United States?
In terms of?
Giving up on HUAWEI and the rest. I mean, as the President left Osaka, how do you look at the agreements that he agreed to?
Well, from the Chinese side, it's not looking like a cave at all, because they're basically we're taking back the negotiations back to where we were in May. And you get the HUAWEI deal back, and also you don't get the increase.
What about the U.S. side?
Well, the U.S. side also, you get both sides thinking they're one. But what we're going to have to shift to is much more of a negotiations on sort of where the technology side comes over the longer term and where that cooperation comes. Because obviously now there's no way that you can go back on what happened. The risk of a HUAWEI or similar measures taken by the US against China is now very, very real. So basically a lot of the trust, the negotiations, any of the trust between the two sides has effectively been annihilated over the last sort of month or so. And you have to come back to a reset where they're going, OK, we can still cooperate, but under what terms, under what new terms, and what's the relationship going to be in this kind of new world order? Because the existing negotiations were obviously going not successful. And now it's almost like both sides have to come together with a new agreement.
John, when you talk about too much optimism in the markets, is there too much optimism longer term? I mean, how do you see it playing out? Will it be like maybe 2 steps forwards, 1 step backwards? Or are these simmering tensions going to be something that we just get used to?
Well, I think the optimism is around how markets are behaving as if growth is going to improve in the second half of the year. And I don't think you can have growth improving in the second half of the year because of what was announced over the weekend. What was announced over the weekend was a truce, not a rollback of tariffs. There's nothing stimulative about what came out of the G20. So if one wants to justify the levels that equities are at, that credit spreads are at, you really need to believe that this Fed easing that's going to come over the course of the summer is going to be enough to restore growth back to trend or above trend levels very quickly. And I don't believe it's going to happen that quickly. So that's why I feel like there's a bit of over-optimism. I believe we avoid a recession 100%. I'm just not sure that we go back to trend growth as quickly as a lot of these markets seem to be discounting right now.